Aisha was the most beautiful girl who lived in that hut, who was lonely. Aisha gave shelter to a wild monkey in her hut. She talked to him and made him her friend. But what did the girl know that the wild monkey had been given shelter in the hut with her? One night, something like this will happen. A few months had passed when a baby was born in the girl's womb. The people around the hut started taunting and laughing at her, but Aisha had no answer to speak to the people around her. She was just silent because she had never even touched a human being. So is this really a baby monkey? Or is it some other secret that you should know? There was a village in the corner of the forest that was green with greenery. The farmers there used to farm in the forest and lived in their mud hut. In a remote corner of this village, there was a small mud hut where Aisha lived, a simple, lonely girl whose eyes were filled with the praise of the world created by Allah, but a deep ocean of sadness in her heart. Aisha's life was close to her guava garden, which was the last sign of her parents. She became an orphan in her childhood when a flood snatched her parents away from her. Since then, loneliness had been her oldest and most loyal friend. Every morning, when the sound of the Fajr call echoed in the air of Rashulpur, Aisha would offer her prayers and then walk towards the garden. With her delicate hands, she would break the guava, fill it in baskets, and then go to the village market to sell it. The people of Rashulpur called her Ayesha with guava. Ayesha's guava was as sweet as her life, as colorful as her life. People would talk about her in Sargoshi. Aisha was used to these things. She never complained to anyone. Neither did she have friends, nor relatives, nor anyone to console her heart. Only she, her garden, and the silence of the night, when she fell in prostration alone and recited the state of her heart to Allah. O Allah, give peace to my heart, and make my loneliness my strength. She would pray every night. One day, when Aisha was breaking guava in the garden, the golden rays of the sun were scattering from the branches of the trees on the ground. The birds were praising Allah in their sweet voices. Aisha was lost in her thoughts. There were signs of fatigue on her face and an unspeakable pain in her heart. Then she looked at a monkey. This was not an ordinary monkey. It was neither mischievous nor noisy. It was sitting on a thick branch of a tree, looking at Aisha. It had a strange innocence in its eyes, as if it was a special creature created by Allah, which had a deep secret hidden in its heart. Aisha was shocked. At first, her heart trembled with fear. She quickly picked up a dry branch and shouted in a loud voice, "Go! Run away! Do not destroy my garden! This is my livelihood!" But the monkey did not budge. It just bowed its eyes as if it had no fault. Aisha gathered her courage and slowly went to it. "What do you want?" "Speak," it asked in a stern tone, but the answer was only silence. After a few moments of silence, Aisha's anger calmed down. She said softly, "Okay, but do not eat my guava. This garden belongs to Allah, and I will protect it." The monkey did not run away that day. It sat in a corner, as if it was Aisha's guest. The next day, when Aisha reached the garden, it was still there, in the same place, in the same way, silent. This time, Aisha was not afraid, but surprised. "Oh, you have come again. Do you like my garden so much?" She smiled and said she took out some ripe guava from her basket and kept it with the monkey. "Take, eat, but do not be naughty. Allah is watching you." The monkey quietly ate the guava and watched Aisha as if it was thanking her. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Every morning, Aisha would come to the garden, pluck the guava, and the monkey would be there. He was never naughty. Sometimes he would pluck the guava from the tall branches of the tree and drop it down, as if he was helping Aisha. Sometimes he would sit in front of Aisha, as if he was saying, "Where is today's reward?" Aisha began to like these habits of his. She began to talk to him, as if he was her best friend. "I wish I had a mother. She was also silent like you. She used to say that Allah gives peace in every sorrow." The monkey would listen, sometimes shake his head, sometimes take a deep breath. He used to give peace to Aisha. She would often say, "You are Allah's gift, Munir." Yes, Aisha had named him Munir because there was a strange light in his eyes, as if he was illuminating the soul. One day, when the heavy rain began, Aisha was running towards her hut. But when she looked back, Munir was still in the garden, all alone. His sad face broke Aisha's heart. She ran back and said, "Why didn't you come with me? Come, let's go home. Allah has given shelter to every creature." Munir quietly accompanied her. From that day on, the shadow of loneliness in Aisha's hut became lighter. "Munir, let's eat. Munir, let's go to the market. We have to sell guavas." Aisha's life was now in a new light. The villagers were surprised. Some were laughing, some were laughing. Aisha went mad. She gave the monkey a place in the house, ha ha ha. Some women would openly taunt her. "What's the matter, Aisha? Are you friends with the monkey now?" But Aisha didn't care about these things anymore. She would pray, be grateful to Allah, and live with Munir in her small world. She would pray every night, "O Allah, protect this friend of mine and show me the way to truth." One night, Aisha was lying on her bed. The cold wind was blowing outside, and the clay lamp was flickering. Munir was sitting in the corner and looking at her. His eyes were wet, as if a deep secret was lurking in his heart. Aisha muttered, "You will always be with me, won't you?" "Aisha, Allah has sent you for me, Munir." Munir shook his head slightly. Aisha went to sleep, but that night was about to change. It was winter. The leaves of the trees were turning yellow and scattering on the ground, and the season of guava was slowly coming to an end. Aisha's body was breaking for a few days. Her face was wrinkled, and that innocent smile on her lips was now gone. At first, she thought it was the tiredness of hard work in the garden, but fever, weakness, and cold made her fall asleep. Munir was with her all the time. Sometimes he would put a wet cloth on her forehead, and sometimes he would steal fruits from the market. Aisha's breathing was slow, but there was peace in her heart that someone was taking care of her. One evening, when there were black clouds in the sky and drops of rain were falling on the window, Aisha looked at Munir with weak eyes and said in a tired voice, "Munir, if it weren't for you, I might have died. Allah, thank you." Munir held her hand as if he wanted to say something, but there was a strange restlessness in his eyes. A few days later, Aisha's health began to improve. She went to the garden again. She began to talk to Munir for a long time. One moonlit night, Aisha laid abed in her hut. The stars in the sky were praising Allah's nature. She hugged Munir and said, "You have filled my life with light. Don't ever leave. Promise me, for Allah's sake." Munir put his hand on her cheek. Her eyes were saying something else, as if a deep secret was disturbing her soul. Aisha fell asleep quickly, and her sleep was very deep. At the end of the night, when there was silence in Rashulpur and the light was dim, Munir came near Aisha. His actions were strange, like humans. He put his hand on Aisha's forehead and then did something that Aisha did not realize until morning. In the morning, Aisha's body was tired, as if she had been carrying a heavy burden all night. He ignored her. Her heart was content with Munir's presence, and she kept thanking Allah. But months later, she began to feel strange changes in her body. She felt dizziness in the morning, weakness, and restlessness in her chest. She could not understand what was happening. One day, when she was selling guavas in the market, she suddenly fell unconscious. An old woman from the village, Begum Zainab, was called. She saw Aisha's pulse, looked into her eyes, and then said with a deep breath, "Daughter, you are going to be a mother." A bomb exploded in Aisha's ears. "What? I have never even touched anyone. How is this possible?" "For Allah," Begum Zainab said softly, "Daughter, Allah's will is written, which is beyond human intelligence." Aisha looked at her face in the mirror for hours. Her stomach began to swell slowly, but there was a storm of questions in her heart. Whose child is this? She doubted everyone, the customers in the market, the villagers. But then she looked at Munir. He sat quietly in his place, looking at her with innocent eyes. Aisha's heart broke. "Were you?" Her voice was trembling. Munir bowed his head. Aisha screamed, "Get out of my house! You betrayed me. May Allah never forgive you." Munir quietly went out, but every night he sat at the door of the hut and cried. The eyes of the people of Rashulpur had now changed. Some laughed, some taunted. Amrudwali's child? Without marriage? There was definitely something going on. Some women said openly, "Aisha ruined her honor." Aisha closed the door of the house, but the taunts tore the walls. She cried awake at night, prayed, and asked Allah, "O my Lord, what sin did I commit? Whose child is this?" Her heart doubted Munir again and again, but her innocent eyes told her innocently. Munir still came to the door every day. He did not jump or misbehave. He just bowed his head and sat quietly. Aisha looked at him, and there was a storm in his heart. One day, he dared to go to the door and asked, "Did you do what you shouldn't have done to me? Speak the truth in front of Allah." Munir said nothing, just closed his eyes and bowed his head. This was enough for Aisha. His anger turned into a fire. "Get out of my life. You have destroyed me." He threw water on Munir, hit him with a stick. Munir went out of the courtyard, but returned the next day. Every day he would sit at the door, and Aisha would chase him away. The matter reached the village panchayat. Maulvi Sahib, Nambardar, and the elderly men gathered. "This girl is ruining the honor of our village. Without marriage, a nameless child. Tell me the name of the father." A message was sent to Aisha that if she did not tell the truth, she would be thrown out of the village. Aisha remained silent. She was more and less sympathetic. A woman said, "If you had taken the name of a man, at least the child would have been halal." Aisha had tears in her eyes. "I can't lie. I don't know. Only Allah knows." Munir's condition was getting worse. He would neither eat nor drink. He would just sit in front of the hut. His hair was falling off. His eyes were closed. And now he looked like a weak shadow. Sometimes he would look at Aisha as if he wanted to say, "Forgive me." But Aisha's heart had turned to stone. She was not able to understand whether she was in love with an animal or if it was a test from Allah. One night, when there was a deep silence in Rashulpur and the moon was hidden behind the clouds, a strange Maulvi entered the village. He was an elderly man with a quiet nature, and the light of Allah's wisdom shone on his face. He went straight to Aisha's hut and said, "Daughter, I want to tell you something that can enlighten your fate." Aisha was shocked. She opened the door and said, "What is it, Maulvi Sahib?" At this time, Maulvi Sahib took a deep breath and said slowly, "The one you thought was a monkey was not an animal. Years ago, an ill-fated prince broke the heart of a magician in the name of love. He deceived her, and the magician turned her into a monkey. Only the true love of a woman could free her from this curse. And that woman became you, Aisha." Aisha's eyes burst. "What are you saying?" "He was a monkey. I kept him in my house and made him my friend." Maulvi Sahib bowed his head. "Daughter, what happened that night was the way to break his curse. He was not a criminal. He was helpless. And maybe he had fallen in love with you. That's why he kept coming to your door every day and left you alone. It was all Allah's will that you become the light of his fate." Aisha's breath became heavy. Her heart was trembling. She opened the door and saw the place where Munir used to sit every day. But there was not Munir, but a beautiful young man standing there. He was wearing a white dress. His face was simple but bright, and there was a sea of tears in his eyes. He said in a hoarse voice, "Aisha, I am right there. You're Munir. You gave me a place in your heart. You considered me an animal and still gave me respect. Your true love freed me from this curse." Aisha was left standing there. It was difficult for her to speak. She said, "Allah, you ruined my life. You ruined my honor. The villagers are insulting me." The young man, whose name was Yusuf, sat on the ground on his knees. "I know that I tortured you, but not on purpose. I was helpless. You were the only person who considered me an animal and still gave me love. Now I am a human, and I don't want to lose you. Allah is witness. There is true love in my heart for you." Aisha's heart was in a storm. She was not able to understand whether she should be angry, cry, or accept Allah's will. She saw Yusuf, and her eyes were filled with the same innocence as Munir's. She quietly returned to the hut and prayed all night and asked Allah for guidance. The next morning, Rashulpur was submerged in a sea of tears. People were shocked to see a beautiful young man standing at Aisha's door. Aisha, who was being insulted till yesterday, is now standing with her head held high. Maulvi Sahib gathered everyone at the outskirts of the village and told the truth. The person you thought was a monkey was a human being. You considered Aisha a sinner, but she became the light of someone's destiny by the will of Allah. The women of the village bowed their heads in shame. The men looked away. Aisha looked at everyone and said, "All of you have wronged me, humiliated me, but I do not hold anyone accountable. Allah has returned my love to me." A few days later, Aisha and Yusuf got married. Maulvi Sahib led the wedding, and the villagers, who used to taunt till yesterday, were praying today. After the marriage, Yusuf held Aisha's hand and said, "You gave me freedom. I will give you life. May Allah protect us." Aisha had tears in her eyes, but now there was no pain, but happiness. A few months later, Aisha gave birth to a beautiful child. The child was a sign of true love, sacrifice, and forgiveness. For the first time in Rashulpur, a child of an unmarried mother was given so much respect. Yusuf worked in the guava orchard every day. Aisha lived with him. Their hut was still there, but there was no loneliness in it. Love and mercy of Allah dwelt in it. One evening, when the orange light of the sun was shining on the guavas and echoing in the unknown atmosphere of Maghrib, Aisha and Yusuf were sitting with their child in their lap. Yusuf said slowly, "You took me out of loneliness and freed me from curse. Now we will always be together. May Allah protect us." Aisha held his hand and smiled. The smile of their child made that moment even more beautiful. The story of Aisha and Yusuf became an example of Allah's mercy and true love in Rashulpur. People still remember this story and say that with Allah's will, the shadow of loneliness turns into light one day. How did you like the story? Do let us know in the comments section. If you find it difficult to make a video, do like the video and subscribe to our channel.